Hey everybody, I'm here to talk to you about defining and creating a brow for the mature eye. So when I talk about mature, you'll hear me say that often in my videos of, oh, the mature face or the mature eye, blah, blah, blah. It's because I'm talking about someone who's maybe not in their 20s, maybe not quite in their 30s, but can be, maybe not in their 40s, but can be, but for sure hitting that like late 40s on older where a lot of things start to shift and change. So that's what I talk about when we talk about a mature eye. But really, my tutorials can virtually work for everybody. So this brow tutorial is going to teach you how to start from working the way of the brow up and then working your way down. When we start from the top of the brow, it's going to help open up that eye and really help create this more space in here that we start losing when we start maturing. All right, so let's get started. I'm actually going to show you two different ways. So I'll show you from this brow and this brow. Now, if you notice in my brows, this one is a little bit higher than this one. It's always been that way. Why I've always parted my hair on this side, because my hairstylists have always advised me to just kind of counterbalance it by having the part covering up that lower eyebrow. Truth or myth? I don't know, but I go for it. All right, so first technique that I'm going to share with you is defining the brow with a brow gel. All right, so this has a tint to it. It's not clear. I have a lot of silver in my brows. I just pulled a few, so I don't think you can see them. Maybe you can, but I'm not going to get that close to the camera. So what I'm going to do is define my brow with this gel first. And when I'm starting, I want to actually start from the top of my brow and brush out those hairs. So this technique would work for somebody who still has some shape maybe, but maybe and still has brows, but not just, they might be sparse, okay? So all I did was really start defining it from the top. And I'm going to bring it in because my brow has started to disappear in this space. So we want to ideally line our brow up from our teardrop to the outer nose fold. So it's straight up. So it starts straight up from those aligned places. Just filling in slightly in the bottom, but I really want to keep the focus on the top part of the brow. Otherwise, you start looking like your brow is saggy, and sag is never good when we're maturing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the brow out. So you might see that my brow might actually kind of come down this way. But if I bring my brow down, I'll show you, it's going to make it look aged. So if I start bringing it down this way, do you see how that completely changes the shape of my face? Gives me more of this circus brow. I don't want to look like a circus clown. So we want to bring that up. Just erase that away a little bit here. Got my sponge here. All right, so we're going to shape it by just bringing it out lightly so it literally looks like I have a nice lift, kind of like a Botox lift, if you're into that. All right, and then I'm going to end where my brow typically should end. But if you notice, like my brow is disappearing, which is true to most mature faces. So that is what we want to do, is extend that. Just make sure that you're kind of lifting it above that brow bone so that it's giving you a lift. Okay, so the nice thing is that really helped create a good shape. It's a little bit high arch there, so we're going to bring that down just a tad bit because I want to balance it out to this one. So now what I'm going to do is take my brow pencil and we're going to shape it. I usually have a brow pencil that's close to the brow color, and I'm starting from the peak. Sorry, that's not the peak. I'm starting from the tip of the brow from the beginning and just squaring it out just a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfectly square. It can be rounded if you want. I like mine angle because my face is really round right now. COVID weight and hormones. And so I'm going to angle it this time in my life because I want to kind of counterbalance the roundness of my face. All right, so I'm starting to define it from the top part of the brow, lifting it up to that peak. And I'm just doing short little brush strokes, barely even tapping my skin, all right? So really brushing those hairs and then just coming out and completing the tail. Filling in as needed, just a little bit underneath, but really, that's it. I don't want to go too heavy on the bottom because again, it'll start dragging down that eye. So I want it to be nice and open, which is going to give me this nice youthful look, okay? Now I'm going to take my concealer and we're going to lift that up. In this particular case and demonstration, I'm not going to conceal above just because I don't need to. I've already evened that out with my foundation. But I'm going to take this concealer and just bring it right underneath. You can do this with a nude pencil as well. I'm going to do that right underneath and just make sure it's very precise. And this is a great trick to use, especially if you're needing to get into your, I call them waxologist, your brow specialist. This is a great technique to kind of hide those little wonky hairs that are hanging around still. I'm just going to blend it out a little bit. Yes, I'm using my fingertip. Why not? It's there. It's a free tool. And then I'm going to spoolie it out. We're going to lift up and soften that brow. And ideally, you want to lift those brows upward because you don't want to really wipe away that color. You want it to be still there. So just brushing upward will just disperse that gel perfectly. Okay, now the other trick that you can use and technique that you can use is same thing, but this time we're going to use it with a pencil first. So we're coming in, brushing those hairs starting from the tip, defining the outer edge. If you want to do rounded technique, you can kind of do, I'm doing just like a rainbow, looping it around, kind of like whoop, 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 like that. Yeah, sound effects and everything, okay? All right, bringing it up to the peak. Now, because this brow is lower than my other one, I want to counteract it and give it a more lift, okay? Now, notice how thicker this looks. I've only defined the top part, nothing down here. Do you see where those like couple of those little bald spots? Those have not been defined yet. So what I'm going to do, you can tell like this creates a little bit of a lighter look. It's a little bit of a lighter pencil compared to this one. So that gel kind of defines it a little bit darker. So all I'm doing is just kind of filling into the teardrop area, and then I'm just going to pick it up. Now I go for a full brow in here. I like more of a full. Some of you might have more of a dip up and coming in, which is fine. The key thing is just focusing on where this point is. And the point is usually where, when you look straight ahead and you bring your pencil to the outer edge and your eye lines up when you're looking straight ahead, it comes to that full peak. So that's what you're focusing on defining, especially on a mature eye. Sometimes those peaks have shifted. So, and I've seen a lot of people kind of create this sideways brow. Let's try to lift those brows up by defining that peak. I'm coming in with that concealer, I'm lifting it up. Now watch how this changes the shape of my brow. Is coming in and it's going to thin it out just a little bit. Oops, I'm going to go this way because watching it from a camera is a lot different than watching it from a mirror. All right, so I got a little bit too crazy in there. Let's wipe that away. Okay, so do you see how that thinned it out and kind of made it a little bit more even to this one? Now notice how this has a rounded tip to it. A little bit more rounded in shape, which is fine if you want that rounded. You know, the shape of the brows can be angled and it can be rounded. Just make sure that they're starting from, you know, where your brushes line up from the outer edge of that nose fold to the teardrop lining up, and it starts there. That's the balance. That's the proportion side of it, okay? So if I did that rounded shape and I wanted to straighten it out, I could take and smooth that away. I can take and come in with my concealer brush, and then we define it. You see that, how that squared it out? Super simple, easy. And if you want to even it out even more, you can take that concealer brush and just brush it in and then define a little bit. Oh, that's not where I want to be. There we go. All right, and then one more top layer on here. And I'm just gonna fill in where I accidentally put some of that concealer that I don't want. It's a great thing about makeup is it's movable and it's fixable and it doesn't have to be perfect from day one. So this side shows you, just blend it out. This side shows you just a pencil application. This side shows you the gel and pencil application. So, and if I wanted to proportion it a little bit more, it can come in. So there you have it. a little bit more defined, a little bit more depth, intensity on the gel and the pencil, and then a little bit of a softer look when you come in with that pencil. So hope this tutorial helps you. And if you need to schedule any one-on-one with me to really define your brow, I'm happy to help you out. You can email me, Natalie Sparrow, MUA@gmail.com. Thanks so much for tuning in, and stay tuned for more tutorials coming soon. Have a great rest of the day. Ciao for now.